It's the top 5 Planeswalkers for Commander.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Commander Countdown. This is the series where we poll the community on different Commander topics and share those answers with you. And today we're going to be going over your top 5 Planeswalkers for Commander. Thanks to our sponsor, Architect and EDHRec, we will also be doing a deck tech submitted by one of our patrons. But first, let's go ahead and go over our honorable mentions. These are the Planeswalkers we think should have made the list, but didn't. So Veggie, we're going to start with you. Tell us a little bit about your honorable mention.
I'm going with Grist the Hunger Tide. 1 a black and a green for a 3 loyalty Planeswalker. As long as Grist the Hunger Tide isn't on the battlefield, it's a 1/1 insect creature in addition to its other types. You can +1 to make an insect and then mill a card. And if the milled card was an insect, then you repeat the process and put a loyalty.
My bugs, not my bugs.
On a -2, you can sack a creature and destroy a creature or planeswalker. And -5, each opponent loses life equal to the number of creatures in your graveyard.
Cute. I think that it's fun that we have sort of a generally low impact planeswalker that synergizes so well and makes the deck and interacts differently in the graveyard and in the deck than it does when it's on the battlefield. I think this is a super cool commander, and I'm fairly sure you kicked our butts with this in one of our episodes.
Mm-hmm. That's because it sneaks up on you like a little bug. Because the first 2 abilities, like the first one, you're like, okay, great, you're making a bunch of 1/1s, I guess, if
and then
you're
skull
lucky.
clamping them.
If you're lucky. But yeah, you could do that too. That's pretty good. But like the second ability, you will have something to sacrifice. You can just take out whatever you want. And then the -5 does just win the game.
I think this is a very cool, very unique commander.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing, is it's a commander, which most planeswalkers are not, because of that weird little rule that when it's not on the battlefield, it's also a creature, and that counts in deck building.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to my honorable mention, probably a little bit more of a classic choice. I have no idea how this didn't make it on the list. Even though it's not one of the flashiest or the scariest, it is one that I see hit the table all the time, and it's always a huge pain in the butt. Let's talk about Narset, Parter of Veils.
Yeah, 1 and 2 blue for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. And each opponent can't draw more than 1 card each turn. I've heard that commander players like to draw cards. You also do even get more value out of it because you can -2 to look at the top 4 of your library and put a non-creature, non-land into your hand.
It shuts down so many other decks, and it just prevents anyone from finding any option for anything that you're doing. And as you'll see later in our deck tech, like, this has some serious implications, and you can really abuse this.
Yeah, I mean, it's also pretty resilient for 5 loyalty. Like, you probably want to -2, but if you had to, you can just leave it up, and it's going to take some hits before going down.
Yeah, and just preventing 2 card draws across 2-3 opponents while they figure out how to deal with this is a win. Mm-hmm. I think this card is incredibly powerful at only uncommon.
And when is the last time that you played anybody that was running commander that didn't say draw a card on it somewhere, since practically everything does?
Yeah. So next up, guys, we're going to be doing our top 5. These are voted on by you, our community members. And if you would like to get involved, you can go in the description. We have a link to our website, which allows you to vote on all of our upcoming topics that we have for this show. So let's go ahead and jump in with, I have these backwards. Number 5, we've got Nicol Bolas, Dragon God.
This is a blue, 3 black, and a red for a 4 loyalty. Planeswalker has all abilities of all other Planeswalkers on the battlefield. So technically, this is the best one since it's all of them. You can +1 to draw a card and make each opponent exile a card from their hand or a permanent they control. -3 to destroy a creature or a Planeswalker, and -8 each opponent who doesn't control a legendary creature or Planeswalker loses the game.
No, thank you. That's too many words. Nicol Bolas is always super strong. Nicol Bolas and Ugin are always so good. He's hard to cast, but I don't think that matters.
I think it is a little deceptive though, because like for this Nicol Bolas to be especially good, you have to be running a good number of other planeswalkers because the abilities on the card are okay.
It's a very super frenzy guy.
Yeah. And then the -8 is like, ooh, scary, people losing the game, but it's commander. Like do you not have a legendary creature on the battlefield?
And honestly, if you play this and you get it up 4 points and then minus it to kill it and you kill 1 or 2 of your opponents, I feel like the game has gone on long enough.
That's fair.
Barring any sort of like proliferate crazy shenanigans, this is not coming down on turn 5 or 6 and then killing anyone. It is killing someone on turn like 10. And at that point, I want to be dead.
That's fair. Yeah, because this doesn't have any of the like the enablers that make it easy for you. You don't have like doubling season or anything in these colors to be able to like, oh, play it alt.
Thrumming bird.
Yeah.
So my point is, if you have a Nicol Bolas on the table for 4 turns and your opponents can't deal with it, they all deserve death. And I think they are happy with that, and I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the community's number 4 choice.
Dahada, Binder of Wills. This is a messed up magic card. It's 1 red, a white, and a black for a 5 loyalty planeswalker. +2, up to 1 target legendary creature gets vigilance, lifelink, and indestructible until your next turn. You can -3 to reveal the top 4 cards of your library, put any number of legendaries from them into your hand and the rest in the graveyard, and you get a treasure for each one that you didn't take. And then -11, gain control of all non-land permanents until end of turn. You untap them and they gain haste.
This is a really popular card to have in commander decks. I see this on the table a ton. I think it's super fun. I think it's interesting that we have a non sort of like main character planeswalker really stepping into the sunlight and getting some good play. I think this is a cool planeswalker.
Yeah, and one of the biggest challenges with planeswalkers in commander is it needs to survive 3 players worth of attacks for you to get to do a second activation. But when this one makes a super blocker until your next turn, it's very hard to get through to. So you're getting that extra value.
Yeah, it's protecting itself really well. That's, a lot of things I look at when I'm rating cards for standard or limited is, does it protect itself? Does it? How likely are you to get that second activation? I think it's really important for planeswalkers specifically.
Right. And also like this card, it does everything that you want. So like not only does it make that super blocker for you, it's also like bolstering your life total because it's giving that thing lifelink and free swings. It's also giving you card advantage because you're grabbing stuff off the top of your deck, or it's ramping you very heavily because what if you just bin all 4 of those cards? That's 4 treasures that you've just made. It's and I guess occasionally somebody has alted it at one point, but I've never seen it done.
And even though this isn't the theme of this particular episode, we're talking about commander or planeswalkers in general. This one, like Grist, can also be in the command zone. And you can actually see that on our 2nd episode ever when we played these decks. Let's go ahead and move on to number 3. I hate him, but we're going to talk about Teferi Time Raveler.
Teferi Time Raveler. I am suspicious of people playing this in Commander. It's 1, a white, and a blue. Each opponent can cast spells only any time they could cast a sorcery. It comes in with 4 loyalty. You can +1 until your next turn. You may cast sorcery spells if they had flash, and -3, return up to 1 target artifact, creature, or enchantment to its owner's hand. Draw a card.
No, thank you. Teferi, you're why I don't like standard. It's so miserable.
You know that the cards in standard rotate, right?
Yeah, but there's always a Teferi that makes you hate standard. Sometimes it looks like a different card, but it really is just Teferi. And plus they don't rotate anymore, dum-dum.
Look, it's just they said it's like the past like 10 years, okay? So it's something like that. in Commander, I think this is a bad choice, to be honest.
I don't think it does enough. It's sort of, though, it's got that 1-for-1 dynamic that you don't want when you're playing in Commander.
Your opponents are also useful to you. You need them to be able to interact because you don't want to be the only person that can answer stuff.
Yeah.
Because you can't answer 3 players worth of problems. You need the other players to use their interaction as well. And if you're stopping them from doing that, then you will lose.
Yeah, honestly, a little surprised that this particular Teferi is this high on the list. I think it's probably a little bit of like, because it was such a menace in Standard, and it is an iconic Planeswalker and a lot of people's favorite Planeswalker. Those people are awful, but here we are. So I think that that's probably why this is on the list. And I feel like he does fit into a lot of decks with this sort of theme to fairy type control.
I think he's a mistake on many levels. But I don't think you should be playing him in Commander. I think he's overall going to cost you more games than he is going to help.
When you were saying you think he's a mistake, and I thought you were going to say I was just going to stop you.
Right. Only in Commander. He's fine in other formats. Yeah.
Stop right there. Just mistake. So now that we got the Teferi out of the way, let's go ahead and move on to a better Planeswalker. At number 2, we have Elspeth, Sun's Champion.
4 and 2 white. Comes in with 4 loyalty, +1, make 3 soldiers, -3, destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater, and -7, you get an emblem with creatures you control have +2 and have flying.
Yeah, turn your dudes sideways, make dudes, buff them up, kill some stuff.
Now, yeah, the kill some stuff I think is that I lead with the kill some stuff because a Planeswalker with a Wrath on it is like cool.
A Wrath that's designed to miss your entire board.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. And that's like with the Dahada thing is, here's practically a guarantee that you will get to continue to use Elspeth's abilities. I don't remember when this originally came out, but it was back when they were still making reasonable final abilities. Because I'm like, an emblem with +2 and flying, that's not too bad. But really the important part is that
how is that not too bad?
Not too bad compared to take everybody's cards and tear them up and throw them in their face and also deal 40 damage to each player.
I feel like this is going to kill 2 players easy. +2/+2 and flying for your entire weenie deck.
I mean, it does rely on you having creatures at a time, which is fairly likely. But
her +1 is make 3 of them.
Yeah, but the fact that it's a ability, it's a -7 on a Planeswalker that does not have a direct impact on the board. I'm like, they don't make them like that anymore.
I don't know. I'm willing to give her the credit because that's what this deck is built to do. It has to be.
Yeah.
That's like saying, well, Craterhoof's not very good because what if you don't have any other creatures?
I'm not saying she's bad. I'm saying that I'm saying that I feel like Planeswalkers have gotten power crept past that point. And she just happened to still be really incredible because of that -3 ability.
Fair. But very, very good. And I'm glad. I like Elspeth as a character. I'm glad that she made the list. Now, surprisingly, I don't know how this made the list because I don't actually see it in Commander much. But let's go ahead and move on to your number 1. Remember, in the comments, this was your choice. And if you don't like it, go vote. Oko, Thief of Crowns.
Yeah, it's 1 green and a blue, comes in with 4 loyalty, which sure is fine. +2, make a food. +1, turn something into an elk with no abilities. And -5, exchange control of an artifact or creature, and a creature an opponent controls with power 3 or less.
Another standard nightmare, and I feel like that is why people put it on this list. But is it that good in Commander?
It's fine, I think.
I wasn't even that scared of it in Limited.
I'm trying to think why this is a problem in Commander.
It's incredibly powerful 1v1 because you're taking out that biggest threat, but he's got to survive so long and he's not doing enough to the entire board.
Right. And on top of that, he has that reputation for I'm not even going to think too hard about it. I know that Oko is crazy, super broken card. We'll all have to kill it. In this context, I don't think that he is.
Yeah. So this seems like probably the one of the first countdowns where, you know, people can make arguments that, oh, this card's really busted. It should have been on the list because it wasn't. Your list is bad. But like all of the cards on the list are good. This list feels a little different. I feel like there's a lot of constructed standard biasy here.
Yeah.
Like I can't see a good reason to fear this or to think it is good in Commander.
Yeah.
It's actually hurting you if you're playing against Veggie, because turning his stuff into an elk is probably an upgrade.
Right. And you don't want a -5 because you don't want any of the creatures that I'm playing.
Maybe he was voted on so many times is people really want that 12-pack.
Yeah, the
Strange looking 12-pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, guys. That is the end of our top 5 commanders, or top 5 planeswalkers for Commander, not necessarily in the command zone. Make sure you guys leave us a comment down below. Let us know if there were any planeswalkers you think should have made the list. Also, leave me a comment. Let me know what your favorite planeswalker character is in general. I'm really curious, and I think I want to do some sort of episode on that in the future. Make sure you go vote. Next up, we have our Patron deck tech that is sponsored by our sponsor, EDHRec and Architect. So let's go ahead and jump into the next segment.
Magic Cave 05 has submitted a Brawlin and Shabraz deck, which I already approve of. I think these cards are great. Brawlin, Sky Shirk, Rider, 4 mana for 3/3. When you discard a card, put a counter on it and deal 1 damage to each opponent. And then you can also pay 1 to give a shark trample. Then Shabraz, the Sky Shark, 3, a white and a blue for 3/3 flying. When you draw a card, put a counter on it and gain a life. And you can pay a white or a blue. Target human gains flying until end of turn.
I appreciate the art in both of these. I like the idea of flying sharks. Everything about this pairing is delightful.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we'll see if it's leaned into, but both of these abilities are deceptively good. They will kill people very fast.
So let's see what Magic Cave has submitted for us.
All right, we're starting strong with Aetherflux Reservoir, so there will be some shenanigans happening, I think. The Crucible World is nice because you're probably discarding a bunch of stuff. Motzalantli, the Great Door, is a card I think people should be playing more. I think it's very good in Commander because it helps to fix your early draws and then turns into big mana.
That's a fun card. A Freet Flame Painter.
Oh.
I think that's a fun card.
It is a fun card. But that's interesting because you are going to be pitching a bunch of cards, as I would assume that they have built it this way.
Yeah.
Consecrated Sphinx has never caused any problems.
And this is a very aggressive deck. I like seeing Inti here. Gives you a lot of redraw and a lot of aggressive stuff going on. This is got some fun cards, some Nerd Girl cards.
See, Inti, I think, bridges the gap between the two of us because you're like, oh, you're great. This is great. I can attack and put counters on things, and they'll get trampled. I'm like, oh, I can turn all of my discards into more things.
Yeah.
I
like it as I think of it as like late game card draw when you're like cycling away the thing, like extra lands and stuff. So you're right. I think it bridges the gap. It's good for like more control-y and for hit you with stuff in the face. Oh, there's a lot of spells here. We have the new O'Hare. A lot of spells in this deck, right? This is the one that makes you have to flip it by non-combat damage. Am I completely thinking the wrong card?
You are thinking that like the last thing I think about with this card, though.
Well, that's how you flip it back.
Yeah.
So between like the Flame Painter and now O'Hare, I'm expecting to see a lot of non-combat damage, like instants and sorceries, some direct burn, and I'm on board for some burn.
Well, that's the thing is Brawlin itself pings each opponent for 1 whenever you discard a card, which is amplified by O'Hare Ashenil.
Okay.
Locust God also never caused any problems.
Psychic Corrosion?
I'm confused.
I just like that card.
Did you Did you give like the white girl shoulder for that? Like, I just like that card.
Maybe, I don't know.
Like,
If I did, it was an accident. I just like that card. It makes me happy. Leave me alone. We have some interesting cards. So we have Chroma's Will, Fierce Guardianship. We had the Smothering Tide, the Rhystic Study. So we have a lot of like high salt value cards in this deck. Cyclonic Rift. They have put in all of the bells and whistles to go with their cute flying sharks. And to me, that feels a little at odds.
but then you see like Neutralize, which is cancel, which is bad, but like cute because it has cycling, so I could cycle it for one instance of a Brawl and Shabrazz trigger if I wanted. Also there's like the Quicken and the Leyline. Like, what are we trying to do at instant speed? And the reason that it is
in this episode is we have a very, very heavy Chandra theme here. Wow, that is a lot of Chandras.
I guess conveniently, that's what she does. She likes to ping for a little damage. She likes to like kind of draw and discard, or although sometimes it's like impulse draws, but
yeah, usually they're exile, I think.
Yeah. Well, let's see. So what? Flamecaller discards all the cards in your hand. Heart of Fire discards all the cards in your hand. So these are, I think, sort of cherry picked for specifically that.
Approach. What a funky deck.
They have the correct art for Faithless Looting. I would have expected more wheels though, because there's the Windfall. Imposing Grandeur is also kind of a wheel. I think Mishra's Command has a wheel function, but like I would have expected a lot of them.
I'm sorry, I don't remember card names very well. There's like a bird that came out recently. When you play it, you discard your hand and draw 2. If you kick it, I think it was like with Dominaria, Battle Bird. It's like,
are we talking like Dominaria draft cards right now?
Yeah. But like, if that's your goal. If your goal is, there is a cycling cancel in this deck, and you're going to give me shit right now about my Battle Bird.
Okay, well, at least the cycling cancel I think was in the pre-con that these came in, but the name of the card is Dominaria Draft Battle Bird, and it's 2 mana. You can kick it for 1 red to discard and draw like 2.
There's also a Brothers War 2/2 double striker that when you unearth it, you discard your hand and draw 3. That's it. Phyrexian Dragon Engine. There we go. That helps you discard if you need to and draw, which is good too. Why do you hate all of my suggestions? Whenever I build decks for Decked Out, he's like, this seems bad. And then it just like kills him. And he's like,
Well, there's a difference between a bad deck and a bad player. So...
But my decks are not bad most of the time. All right. So what are you thinking overall as is on the veggie scale? What do you think of this deck?
It's missing 2 things that I would immediately include in a deck like this because I think they're neat. One is Surly Badgersaur, which I think was in the pre-con that this came in, which is, it has like 4 abilities that depending on what you discard. It's just like anytime you discard a blank, do this thing. And that I think would be really good. And then there's a card from Doctor Who, Decaying Time Loop, which is a wheel with retrace. And by the way, if you combo those together, then you can cycle through your entire deck. And it doesn't really do anything super useful, but it's very fun. I don't know if it discards enough. That's why I think I'd have to like
put in a Battle Bird.
Yeah, get that draw 2 off your kick. A lot of cards that I like that I would like to play. I just don't know exactly how they come together. So I think on that, I'll give it a 7 out of the box.
Okay. I am torn because there's a lot of things I like about this. I want to be super high. I'm going to give it a very high rating because I like the commanders. I like the synergy that you've built. I like how you've assembled it. But I also think Cyclonic Rift, Rhystic Study. We don't need all of that with our cute flying sharks. So that's going to bring it back down a bit, even though it does increase the power level. That is not what is important in the Nerd Girl scale. So I'm going to give it an 8 because it is very strong and it is very cool and unique, and I like flying sharks. But I feel like if we had a few more battle birds and a few less cyclonic rifts, I'd give this a 9. All right, now that we're done looking at the deck on Architect, let's go ahead and move on over to EDHRec and see if there's anything that we might change or mix up to either decrease the power level or to make it more cute flying shark-like.
Themes, yeah, but not very, very definitely the most popular. Wheels. It does a lot with both of these abilities. Discard cycling. Storm. Who's storming off with this? 7 people. Never mind.
Oh, that's a cool card, actually. I mean, I haven't played with it in Constructed yet, but the Tunnel Grinder?
Yeah. Wheel. It's a wheel. All right. Yeah. So immediately people are doing mean stuff with this deck. Curiosity is the #1 high synergy card, which, by the way, if you just stick on Brawlin, every time that you discard, it pings each opponent for 1. You then draw 3. You're probably going to be able to discard. If you have a discard outlet, you just win.
Like a battle bird.
Not quite, but wheels. Tolarian Winds, Magus of the Wheel, Change Fortune, Decaying Time Loop. Great card.
That's the one you recommended.
That's the one I recommended.
So you can play uncommons, but I can't. Okay. I see how it is.
But it's a Doctor Who uncommon. So like the rarity doesn't matter. Riel. Is Riel on the list? That is a fantastic card that I would definitely put in the deck because its ability counts on anybody's everybody's turn. So you get 1 instance of it every turn. But if you're cycling a bunch of stuff, then you're going to be able to draw a free card at least on every turn. Look at that. Creature #1, Surly Badgersaur.
I just like the name.
Mm-hmm.
If nothing else, I want it in the deck because I want to say the name.
Yeah, he's a little angry little guy.
It's like Hammy.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah, Jace's Archivist, wheel for 1 mana every turn.
Ledger Shredder. That's a good discard.
Mm-hmm.
Might be a little bit better than a Battle Bird. Chromie for the shark theme. I feel like I want more shark theme in my life.
Yeah.
Shark Typhoon. Why was that not in the deck?
I guess between the two of them, I don't remember exactly what the ratio was, but it felt like there were more creatures than I expected. So maybe that is why they were not in. Neheb would be interesting. Pitch your hand. It's wheel and make mana.
It's interesting to see Fierce Guardianship this high on the list. Not that it's not a good card, but I feel like when we check out decks on EDHRec, a lot of times like Fierce Guardianship and Cyclonic Rift, they actually don't make the top of this because they're not being played by as many people because they're expensive and they're sort of not welcome in a lot of friend groups. So I feel like I don't see them as high on a lot of lists.
I think it's even more telling that they are here because these two, Brawlin and Trabraz, can it is very easy to build them super mean because a wheel deck, yeah, is hard. It's hard for people to play against because you can't assume that cards in your hand will be there when you need them. And so it makes sense that you're like, oh, well, if I'm going to be playing this anyway and people are not happy, I might as well put in the free counter spell on Cyclonic Rift. Wheel, small wheel. Yeah. Wheel, small wheel. Does Shabraz count as a battle bird?
I don't think so.
It's a bird. It's battling.
No, it's not a battle bird. So given that this is the Planeswalker themed episode and we had a very strong Chandra theme throughout this deck, last thing we'll do is take a look at the Planeswalkers and see if there's anything we like better or, that maybe we would consider adding. Mm-hmm.
People like the Flame Caller, but I think that is because that came in the pre-con that Brawlin and Shabraz came in. Teferi Temporal Pilgrim, I feel like is an auto include since you're constantly drawing cards.
And it looks like my honorable mention is the number one include, which was the Narset Parter of Veils. That's the word.
Yeah, if you're going to wheel, you might as well screw everybody over when you do it.
All right, so we've given the deck our ratings. We'd like to thank Magic Cave 05 for submitting the deck list. We'd also like to thank EDHRec and Architect for sponsoring this show. Without both our patrons and our sponsors, we wouldn't be able to continue doing this.
And don't forget, you can support us and the show by liking the video if you liked it and clicking subscribe if you really liked it.
And if you would like to get involved in the show, you can use the link in the description to vote on our next topics. Make sure that our top fives are the most up to date and have the best options. We need those votes. And if you would like to submit your own deck list for us to review here on the show, you can head on over to our Patreon, where you can unlock exclusive perks like deck techs, spell table games with us, and even get signed weekly cards from all of our guests from Decked Out.
Well, that's it for today. We will see you next time on
Commander Countdown.